Yo, welcome to another YouTube video. I'm here to talk about my 50 favourite album out of my CD collection. This is going to be a video where I show them and give my reasons why. I'm going to start off with Anita Baker, Rapture. This album was a great album, very soulful, great singing album, classic. Love the production, everything on that album. It was very good. Loved every song on the album, and that's why, yeah, it's on there. Love the soulful production, the singing, everything on this album. Great. I'm going to start with the second one is Immortal Technique, Revolutionary Volume 2. This album was great lyrical album, where very political, a lot of social commentary on here, a lot of stuff, great production, has that Peruvian like Latino sound, and the beats are just really good. Definitely a great album, conscious hip hop album. Really like this project. This album, Bob Marley with Exodus, great album, reggae album. Love the production on every track, love the singing, love the message of the music, very conscious, lyrics as well. Rastafari, like reggae, singing really well, some love songs on here. This is an album you can't go wrong with. Really love this project on Marley Exodus. Then we go to Mecca and the Soul Brother by Pete Rock, CL Smooth. Great lyrical album. A lot of songs like about friends that died. There was a song like Ghettos of the Mind, talking about it's like growing up in the hood in New York. A lot of conscious songs as well. It talks about injustices and things like that. Definitely an album worth listening to. Great album. Really loved it. Then we go on to more street gangster sounding songs. Love the production on this album. Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep, Prodigy and Havoc really worked well. Loved every single beat on here. Loved the lyrics. Very grimy, gritty project. Really love this album by Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. This album is by Black Star. This album, again, really love this album. Really like how they rhyme on the tracks, like the conscious lyrics on here. Really talks about different topics, like you have the storytelling of children's story. You have Definition, where he talks about stuff going on in New York, injustices going on. There's a love song on here. And this album really is fun to listen to as well, like that project. And we go on to Gang Starr, Moment of Truth. This album, again, really enjoyed it. Loved the sound of it. The beats are phenomenal. DJ Premier had that gritty New York production on here. And some of the storytelling on this album is fantastic. Really like this album. Talks about friendships. He talks about Robin Hood Theory. There's another song on here, Moment of Truth. Some conscious on here as well. Definitely a great project. We have A Tribe Called Quest with the Low End Theory. I love this album. Very jazzy rap album. Has a very jazzy vibe to it. Really good beats on every song. Storytelling on point. Really good sounding album. Very different sounding, which I liked about A Tribe Called Quest at this time. Really great. Off the Wall by Michael Jackson. This album was great. The disco, the sounding, very driven, funky sounding songs. Really fun album to listen to dance to. Has great production throughout the whole thing, from track one to the last. Definitely his best album with Motown. He has another album on that I'm going to talk about, which is different to this, but this is my favourite MJ project. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. This album, Great storytelling, and follows a concept in class, asking questions. Very conscious, a lot of personal stuff on here. Has a lot of talks about like gospel sounding, like religious views and stuff like that, with a lot of trials and tribulations going on. This is has all different type love songs on here. Like, this is an album, great lyrics when she's rhyming on here. This is the album, great album from Lauryn Hill. Paid in Full by Eric B and Rakim. This album was great. Loved it. It came out in the 80s. That gritty sound. Love Eric B. Production, Rakim's rhymes. This album was groundbreaking when it came out. When it first came out. That's why this album definitely made the cut. Had to be on here. Great album. Yeah, Tribe Called Quest first album. This album, I love the production on here. Love the singles. Really have the connection with the songs on here. Great album. Great beats. Storytelling. Like, really good wordplay as well. Great album. Craig David, Born to Do It. This album was great. This album's garage with some soul and R&B into it. Has Rewind, that great club song. This album definitely deserves to be on the list. Really great album. When I got it, I was surprised of how great the album actually was. But yeah, this album is phenomenal. Brilliant project. Should pick this one up. Anthony Hamilton, Coming From Where I Come From. This album, again, this album was great. This is probably one of the great albums on here. Good singing, good lyrics, has a positive message to other songs, some love songs on here. This album is great. Really, really great project from Anthony Hamilton. This album, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. One of the greatest albums of all time. Follows a story. The music's great. The singing's great. It all follows a journey really well. I think this is definitely a great album. This album is fantastic. When I heard it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Came out in 1971, like Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. Mos Def, Black on Both Sides. Definitely a good album here. This album is brilliant. The lyrics, how he rhymes, everything on this album. The soulfulness in the production and the singing sometimes, and everything. He blends different styles of music really well here. When he's rapping, the rhymes are on point. Really flawless album. Dead Prez, Let's Get Free is another album. Really good album. Very political, very conscious driven album. Great different style of production. But yeah, this is a must have in a collection. If you like hip hop and conscious rap, stuff like that, this is definitely one of those albums worth picking up. AZ, Do or Die. This album was brilliant. I really love listening to this album. Really like the raw, gritty production, like how he rhymes, multi-syllable type rhymes. You have conscious songs where he's talking about the Illuminati and conspiracy theory, and he talks about other stuff on here as well. I really love this album. Definitely a great project to have. En Vogue, their first album. Really love this album. This is the album that made it for me, because I like how the sound of it, the singing, the beats, everything on this album. This is a really great album. Their best album in my view. They had other great albums like EV3 and other great albums, but this is the album that I think is their best album consistently. Yeah. Jill Scott, Beautifully Human, Words and Sounds. This album, really love this one. Really soulful, like the production, the music, fantastic the whole way through. I really like how everything works on this project. Really love this album. Talib Kweli with Eardrum. This is another lyrical album. Love the storytelling on here. Makes you think of different perspectives of things, and really good album that does that. Songs like Eat to Live. You have songs like Hostile Gospel. You have songs like More or Less. You have all these songs. Listen is one of my favourite songs on here. New York Weather Report. All these songs. Really good album here. Maroon 5, Songs About Jane. One of those albums that did a review on. Like I said, this album was one of the first albums I ever got, and really loved the album growing up. So this album had to make it on that principle, as well as it being a great album. To me, this is Maroon 5's only great album they made. They had some other good songs on other projects, but nothing will ever compare to this album, their debut album, Songs About Jane. Really love the album. Ill Manners, great album by Plan B. Really loved the storytelling. There was a movie to this as well. He's from the UK as well. Like the singing on songs like Deepest Shame. Really talks about a lot of things from poor economic upbringings, and storytelling on here is brilliant. This is a great album. Erykah Badu with Baduizm. Very soulful album. Love the production on here. This is definitely a great album. Really recommend this album. Really enjoyed it. Next album, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. This is a more modern album that's quite really new school. But this album, the production, the storytelling, how creative this project is, this album has to be on here for those reasons. Yeah, it's the test of time in my view to go down as a classic hip-hop album. Really loved this project when I heard it for the first time. Every song on here and everything, how it all ties together. Brilliant album. Charles Winter. This album, I really like this album. I like the storytelling, how it gets personal on it. Great production, the way he rhymes, really is a great album by Cage. Really recommend this one. Kanye West with Late Registration. This album, this is one of my favourite Kanye album. It has great songs. Wake Up Mr. West, Heard Him Say with Adam Levine. Like, really talks on a lot of political issues. Very social on this album. Talks about a lot of different things. Has great music on here. This is my favourite Kanye album. Brandy with Never Say Never. This album was brilliant. Love the singing, love the soulfulness, like the R&B. The commercial songs were great. This is a great album. Really great album. Better than her first album. The song The Boy Is Mine, which is on this album, and Monica's album, I forgot what it's called. I think Street Symphony. I think the album's called. No, I think it's called The Boy Is Mine or something like that. I like that album as well, but that album didn't make it because I think this album was definitely better from Brandy. But both albums were really good with The Boy Is Mine on it. I liked both albums, but I think this one was better, and this album definitely deserves to be on the top 50. That album missed out because, yeah, like, but it still was great. So this album was brilliant. You have other songs like One Voice on here. This song was brilliant. Have You Ever? That is a great album. Really deserves to be on here. Rakim, the 18th Letter. Again, this album was really good. Good solid project. This album does it. Great lyrical album. Very conscious driven. Rhyming multi-syllable type rhymes. Great production. Premier was on here. And a lot of other producers Rakim had. Definitely great. Damian Marley with Welcome to Jamrock. Again, love this album. This one is more of a dancehall with reggae album. I would say this album has both. Love the production. Love how he rhyming and singing on here. Has great features on here. They have different type of vibes on here. That's why this album definitely deserves to be on the cut. Black Eyed Peas. Behind the Front. Definitely an album that was phenomenal. Lyrically great, production great. Everything on this album was brilliant. Like, this is definitely their best album. This is my favourite album by them. Yeah, a must have. Like, really great album. Recommend it. Even if you're not a fan of their later stuff or whatever, this is definitely a great album to give a shot. Illadelph Half-Life by The Roots. This album was really good. Love the musical element, love the lyrics. This album was perfect on all fronts. Has the musical ability and the MCing, like everything on here flowed well. Better than their other first, I think the second album that I got as well, but I think that one was better musically, but it didn't have the lyrical ability of this album. So this album slightly won on that, but this album had both. So that's why this album made it. Really love this album. Drogas Wave. Definitely deserves to be great on this album. This album was brilliant. Creativity, storytelling, everything on here flowed well. Can't complain about this album. This album definitely deserves to be on the top 50. Again, another newer school album, which I tried to avoid putting a lot of the new albums on because, like, have they really stood the test of time? And yeah, so, but this album deserved to make it with To Pimp a Butterfly. Same reason. This album was brilliant the whole way through. Again, MJ, Michael Jackson with Dangerous. This album was great. Like this album. Songs like Heal the World, Black or White, Will You Be There, all those songs. This album was really good. Like, can't front on this album. Definitely a great album. The Fugees with The Score. This album. Love the music. Love how they blend different styles and the way they rhyme on it. And I like Blunted for Reality as well. I was a fan of that album, but this album was better. Like, really good album. Then we have The Call. This album was something amazing. Like the storytelling, the grittiness of it, how there's a lot of different style tracks on here. This album was brilliant from start to finish. Like, different styles of hip hop, different things going on in this project. Definitely a great album by Lupe Fiasco, The Call. Songs like Hip Hop Saved My Life, to Superstar, to Dumb It Down. You had Gotcha Flow, Streets on Fire. All these songs, brilliant album. Outkast with Aquemini. This album has that southern flavour. This album, I really like this project. Like, different musical sounds, very conscious in some areas, and does different type of songs. This is a really great album. And yeah, really good album. We have Wu-Tang Forever. This album, lyrically, really on point. Love the production, everything about this album. A double album. Yeah, this album was brilliant. Love this album. Really popular album in the UK. I actually prefer this album to the 36 Chambers. I like the 36 Chambers, don't get me wrong, the production on 36 Chambers, but I think this album was on another level. I think this album was better than the 36 Chambers, in my view. The Chronic by Dr. Dre. This album was a game changer when it came out. It had that Dr. Dre G-Funk sound. Really great catchy hooks, great singles on here. This album was phenomenal. Brilliant album. Nas Illmatic. This album, brilliant album. One greatest hip hop album of all time. This is probably the greatest album of all time. I'll put Nas Illmatic 1, To Pimp a Butterfly number 2, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill number 3. Of greatest albums of all time. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On will probably be up near there, and Exodus will be in the top 5. But this album, really great. Love Illmatic. Maxwell, Urban Hang Sweet. Love the production on here. Really good grooves, everything about it. Really like this album. Yeah. K Reno, The Day of the Storm. Really like this album. I like the messages, the lyricism, the rhymes, everything about it. Really good. Really like this album a lot. Anita Baker with Rhythm of Love. Another album that was really, really good. Like the singing, like the production, everything about it. Really, really great project. Really great. We're going to talk about Necro and Kool G Rap with the Godfathers. Once Upon a Crime. This album was phenomenal. Dope lyricism. Really street and grimy album. Everything, like the way they rhymed on it. Really great album. This is another album I really would recommend. Definitely love this project. Kanye West with The College Dropout. Another great album. Really love this album. Great lyricism. Definitely brilliant. Has conscious, has different musical elements. This album was brilliant. Blew me away. Really great album. People been waiting for a Tupac album. Here it comes. Me Against the World. This is my favourite Tupac album. Love the lyricism. Great storytelling. Everything about it was brilliant. And that's what I think really great. Really like this. Mary J. Blige. Share My World. Another great album. Really like this. Definitely great singing. Great vocal delivery. Really, really on board with that. Quality album. Really, really top quality. Nas with Stillmatic. Another solid project. Really love this album. Great lyricism again. This was when he had that beef with Jay-Z where he wanted to prove he still had it. You had great storytelling, great production. Everything about this album, brilliant. Love this album. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Another album. Definitely well worth from the collection. Definitely love this album. Like the production, everything on here. Definitely a classic album. And we have Usher with Confessions. Again, another album that really takes it, and that is quality project. Yeah, so that is, love the songs, love the singles. This album is a classic album, definitely well worth. Has soulful sounding songs, you have the pop songs, you had everything on here, and it all worked. Yeah, so that is my top 50 albums. Obviously not in order, because I was arranging it and all that, and it took time. But my top 5, I would put Nas Illmatic, Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, Exodus by Bob Marley. If I want to go to a top 10, I would probably have Hell on Earth, Revolutionary Volume 2, Ill Manners, number 8, Anita Baker Rapture, number 9, and Off the Wall, number 10. That would be how I'll do it, and then I'll come up with an order for the other 40. Not going to do that now. Definitely great. Thanks for watching the video. Peace.